I thought he might be warmer.
Have you kind of step in and go ahead and take a seat if you'd like, John? Okay.
Why don't we just sit here for
I'd like to sit over here.
over where?
Down here.
That's in the end?
Yeah.
All right, if I can get here on here. Come on, Jared, we're going to go down here. All right, go down with Mama.
Here, Mason. Go here.
Mason, you want to sit right behind me? I'll sit right here. And I'll sit.
Line up square with the grave. I'm going to step out. Lower down. Slow it down and tap on my lap. Step back behind you. You guys can control your family. Stand or sit or whatever you would like. If you haven't already torn your ribbon, you can feel free to do so, or your tie. There you go. All right. Harold, is there anyone that you were expecting that has not arrived?
Yeah.
Is everyone here?
I think we're...
You think you're okay?
Family's here. Okay. And we'll let you decide whether you want to sit, stand, at what distance. We do have amplification, so you should be able to hear. All right.
In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with a recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Francis's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. Proverbs 31. Eshet chayil mimsa v'rachok mipnimi michra batach balev bala v'shala lo yechsar v'maltu tov v'lo ra kol yemecha yehakapa parsa la'oni v'yadeha shilcha le'evyon Od v'hada levusha v'tischach liyom acharon Biha procha v'chochma v'torah chesed al-lishon at Sophia halichot beita v'lechem at lulot ochel chamu v'neha v'yashruha bala bala la rabot banot asu chayil ve'at alit al kulana sheker hachem ve'hevel hayofi isha yirat Adonai hi iti talal tenula mi priya deha vi hallelujah vashari maaseha. Eshet Chayil. A woman of strength, who can find? Beyond pearls is her value. Her husband's heart trusts in her. Gain shall not be lacking for him. She does him only good, no harm, all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. From afar she brings her food. She rises while it is yet night and gives food to her household and a portion to her maids. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She girds with might her loins and strengthens her arms. She senses her wares are good. Her lamp does not go out at night. Her hands she extends the distaff, and her palms grasp the spindle. Her palms she opens to the poor. Her hands she extends to the needy. She has no fear for her household from the snow, for all her household are clothed in finery. Coverings she makes herself. Fine linen and purple are her garb. Her husband is known at the gates, where he sits with the elders of the land. A sheet she makes and sells, a sash she supplies to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her garb as she laughs at future days. Her mouth she opens in wisdom. A lesson in kindness is on her tongue. She watches the conduct of her household. The bread of sloth she never eats. Her children rise up to make her happy. Her husband praises her. Many women have excelled, but you surpass them all. Grace is deceitful, beauty illusory. A woman who fears God, she shall be praised. Give her credit for the fruit of her labors. May her deeds always praise her at the gates. Proverbs 31. Psalm 23. I'm going to do it first in Hebrew in the chant, and then we'll do it together in English inside your program. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo exal, Binot deshe yarbitseni, Al mei menuchot yenahaleni, Nafshi yeshovev, Nafshi yeshovev, Yancheni v'maglei tzedek, Leman shemo. Tam ki elech begeitz hamavet, Lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha, umishantecha, shivtecha, umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged zorerai, dishanta v'shemen roshi, dishanta v'shemen roshi, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi revaya, achto v'chesed, yidefuni, kol yemei chayai, veshavti beveit Adonai, veshavti beveit Adonai, leorech yamim. On the inside cover of your program, we'll read together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ezu mechubad, hamchabed et habriot. Who is honored? One who loves, honors, and cares for others human beings. Pirkei Avot 4:1. The deepest wisdom that a person can attain is to know that his destiny is to aid, to serve, and to love. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. So I'll now ask Francis's son Harold to come up and speak. Unless you guys want to do it in different order.
Take this off.
If you want to, you can.
As I spent the last 2 weeks with Mom after her stroke in the hospital and then in the Kavanaugh Hospice House, I thought of some memories of Mom and how they relate to my life. When I was 6 months old, Mom hit the utility pole backing out of our driveway. My nose was banged up. Joni still has a scar from it. I know now why I cannot smell to this day. A couple years ago, I backed our Toyota Camry into our Traverse on the way out the driveway going to work. No one was hurt, at least. Some of my fondest memories with Mom when I was younger was going to McDonald's on a Saturday for lunch. We would just talk about school the previous week. It was always good times. When I became a parent, I would take Nate and or Abby to McDonald's for supper. I felt like we connected over a simple supper. It was always nice. As some of you know, Mom was a bookkeeper and the organizer of her investment club. She was my inspiration and why I studied accounting at Iowa State. That also led to my having a degree in finance. A couple characteristics that she filtered down to us kids has stuck in my head for years. My mom was very, very kind, but she was very stubborn. The stubbornness came out when she lived at the townhome. The maintenance man, Mark, was doing things around the complex that Mom did not like and were what she thought were unethical. Yes, they were. We would hear about them all the time. There were people at the townhome that I could tell were covering up the things Mom was talking about. Mom fought for many years with them. She had an awful stuff said to her, but she never gave up. I'm sure this is the reason she lived so long. It kept her blood boiling and her mind active. At the nursing home, she also gave the nurses a hard time. During the COVID lockdown, Mom was to stay in her room 24/7. Despite this, Mom would still walk to the bookshelves and get a book and read and take it back to her room. The nurses would tell her to stay in her room, but Mom still would go out and get a book. The nurses finally decided just to let her do her thing. I see the stubbornness in me every day. If you ask my wife, I'm sure she will agree. I do see it in my kids. Sorry, guys. Another thing that sticks out in me is even though we knew our parents loved us, we never exchanged I love yous. I realized this last week when I left Mom's room one night. Before I left, I said, "Mom, I love you." She said it back to me. I hesitated a little bit because it was the first time in a long while I had heard it from her. So today I would like to take this opportunity to say this to some people here. To my sister and brothers, Joanne, Morris, Norm, and James, I'm sure we will never be together in one place again, but I want to thank you for taking care of me when I was younger. I'm so much younger than all of you. I love you guys. To my nephews and nieces, Jerry, Joe, Jonathan, Judy, Jennifer, Janet, Jessica, Justin, Miles, and Millie, Grandma was very fond of each and every one of you. I cannot express how much I have enjoyed watching all of you grow up. I love you guys. To my great nephews and niece, Tyler, Colin, Mason, Dallas, Casey, Calvin, and Ruby, I love you guys too. To the woman who has joined me on this journey in life, now I know why I do some of the things I do that drive you crazy. Blame it on Mom and Dad. Cheryl, I love you. To the two people that I've helped bring into this world, you are growing up so fast. It saddens me that soon you will be out on your own and have separate lives. To Nate, I love you. Go Dodgers! To Abby, I love you, and keep on using your imagination. To all of our relatives in Florida and California, I love you all. On Wednesday, I came to the spot to give Dad a heads up that Mom was coming to join her. Today is the day that they reunite.
Thank you, that was lovely. Joanne or Cheryl, either one of you, whichever one you would like, whichever one. All right, Cheryl will now come up and speak. Francis's daughter-in-law.
Thank you to those watching online and to those who are present here today to celebrate the life of Frances, the matriarch of our family. We have received many kind words about Frances, which is a true reflection of the person that she was. She was such a resourceful lady. She either knew someone who would help you, or she had the information in her own library. Those of us in the family are well aware of the binders of information that she had on literally any topic. She is now reunited with Ed, her husband. Ed and Frances had a deep love and a respect for each other, and that was evident even in their elder years. Frances was an avid reader, and at times her gifts were books. Today I want to read a poem from a book that she gave me that describes her determination to do anything. The I can do attitude is what got her to this age of 93. The poem is Don't Quit by an unknown author. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turns about, when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow, you might succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late when the night slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem their worst that you mustn't quit.
Thank you. Beautiful. I'll now ask Joanne, Francis's daughter, to come up and speak.
Okay, I hadn't planned on speaking, but in response to Harold's well put message, I want to say I love you, Harold, and Norman, and James, and Morris, and all of my kids and grandkids. And I know that Grandma and Grandpa are they're all looking up down at us, and they'll keep us all safe. Yeah, but I want to say I love you too.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to add anything? Family has said it's okay if you want to come up and share a few words about Francis. All right, come on over. The mic's pretty loud, so as long as you're close,
Okay.
you should be okay.
Hi, I'm Judy, Francis's granddaughter. I didn't prepare anything, but I just want to talk about some of the memories of my grandma. When I visited my grandma at the hospital this last week, I said to her, "You were the greatest grandma," and she goes, "Oh, I don't know about that." And that's just the kind of person that she is, and I just said, yes, you were. Like, she always took care of us. When I was younger, she had to make sure that I learned how to be a lady, so she took me to a class to be a lady, and I got to do a little kid beauty pageant thanks to my grandma. She also had me go to do sewing classes with her, and I made a jacket from all of my old jeans that I tried on again today. That I still have. It was a little small on me, but she was always doing all of these great things, and also she had a really nice sewing room in her house for all of you that know that. She always took care of us and was just a really awesome person. So I love you, Grandma, and we'll miss you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to add anything? Oh, you want to read something? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Edie, our mom's niece from California, sent me a text. Last couple years, a couple of my nieces have gotten married, and she's come out to see us. But she just wanted to say that she really enjoyed spending time with Aunt Fran, and she's really appreciative. And she was able to visit with her over the last few years. She was always sweet and caring to her. I miss her. Love, Edie.
Anyone else want to speak? Okay. Frances was a wonderful woman. I only knew her in her last few years of life. She was not a woman of many words, as we have established, but she was very kind and had a great heart. Was very beloved by the synagogue and people who were, especially her contemporaries, unfortunately, many of whom we have lost this year and in the past couple of years. I know she will be missed. So now we're going to do the difficult task of burying Frances ourselves, which is Jewish tradition. So what is traditional to do is to cover the entire top of the casket with earth. You don't have to be Jewish to do this, and how it normally works. traditionally is that the family will come up first after we've lowered Frances down. And I think almost everybody here is family, so you guys could figure out how you want to do the order, but usually it's the immediate family and then the people after that. And typically the first shovel is done upside down, concave, because it's not something that you want to be doing. This is something that we do with regret, because of course it means that Frances is no longer with us. But then you're not going to get much earth, and that's okay. And then the second 2 shovels, usually people do 3, but if you don't, that's okay too. Or you want to do more, that's also okay. They're the right side up. This is considered in Judaism the greatest mitzvah, the greatest act of kindness you can do for someone is to bury them yourself. And it's because it's an act of kindness they can never repay to you. The goal often is that you do something nice for someone and they do something nice for you. But in this case, she cannot do something nice. So you're doing this out of your own sheer, desire to be kind to her, with expecting nothing in return. So it's a great, great act of chesed or kindness. And like I said, anyone who's Jewish or not can do it. And we will continue to take turns until we cover the top of the casket with earth. And then after that, I'm going to say the memorial prayer for Frances using her Hebrew name. I'll do it in Hebrew first in the traditional chant, and then I'll do it in English. And then we will say Kaddish, and then our service will conclude. And then I always stay to the very end with Frances and make sure that she gets filled in properly. And if anybody from the family or any of you would like to stay, you can. And kind of watch it be finished. But you can at least know I act as a shomeret, kind of a guard to make sure that she is taken care of until the very end. So I'm going to ask my friend over here to lower Frances down. This is usually a very difficult and lengthy time, but and then we'll begin. It's okay to be upset. We have the shovels will be hand sanitized in between. Al tavo mikama b'shalom. May Frances go unto God in peace. Your poor mom. She's probably.
Spoke until the end.
Can I pull that?
The one other thing I will add is that when you are done with the shovel, just place it back in the earth. Again, that's traditional because you don't want to be handing it off to someone, offering them to do it. People should be able to do it on their own. That being said, if you hand it off, nothing's going to happen to you, at least as far as I can tell. You'll be all right. So if you forget any of these things, don't worry about it. Just so you know the tradition if you want to take part. How are the edges, Robin? Do you want to keep the boards up or?
Yeah, but I think let's just move them so that you can see where you are.
Excellent.
Move the board.
I don't know what the edges are. All right. I'll now ask the family to come up to begin shoveling. Both of them you can use. Yeah.
And some people can come around this way to form a line. Some can come that way to form a line.
Either way.
There you go.
You come around this one too. Hey, Mom.
We also have gloves if you prefer. Gloves or sanitizing wipes.
Wait. I tell Mason, don't be like these people that got some big scoops.
No, it's not. I'm missing the plate.
You see what Jesse did? Jesse, I saw that.
All right.
What?
There's no.
Hey.
Color blocking out. I saw that this week. I saw it this week. I saw that this week.
ahead and rejoin us to kind of finish covering the top of the casket.
Yeah. No.
I would like it, but I think it's hard to do, so we'll see as much as you would like. It's slow.
Down the side, yeah.
Yeah. And this section doesn't require a liner.
Oh.
And that the liner usually,
Right.
so we'll do a little bit more, and then
Okay.
when Cheryl and this gentleman are done, then.
Okay.
Yeah.
We found them and Aunt Helen. I don't remember exactly. But they're somewhere. They're somewhere not too far.
Well, traditionally, it's seen with a common wall.
That makes sense. How close are we?
We're not, we just need the side. I think everybody's been doing a good job.
Yeah, getting there.
We're getting there. Some people like to hand fill, but that takes a long time.
Yeah.
I might compromise.
Tyler. So when Cheryl's done, work on that side, okay?
Fill it in.
That, I mean, so.
You can't see the casket. All right. We did it. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to do the memorial prayer for Francis, which is in my book. And then I'm going to do it in English. And then we'll do Mourner's Kaddish, which is the paper that you have, which is the memorial prayer for the deceased, which you say on the anniversary of her death, and also for the next 7 days if you like, and then also for the next 30 days and all that kind of stuff. But as you desire. But it's often said on the memorial of the year of a person's death. All right. El Male Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Ashchina B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utorim Kezohar Akiyam Asirim Et Nishmat Fruma Riva Bat Mindol Shehalcha Le'olama Began Eden Tehei Menuchata Ana Barachamim Astireha B'Seter Kenafecha Le'olamim Utzror B'Tzror Chaim Et Nishmatach Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'Shalom Amishkava V'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Frances Rosen, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul always be bound up in the bond of life, in the bond of love, and in the bond of good memories. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Mourners Kaddish, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May Francis's memory always be a blessing for you whenever possible. And before I conclude, I'm going to offer all of you and everyone online the traditional kind of greeting to a mourner, which is Hamakom Yenachem Etchem B'tok Sha'ar Avlei Tzion V'Yerushalayim, which in English translates, because most people don't know, in English translates to may God comfort you along with all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Now, that's been said for thousands of years to people because there are people who still mourn the temple, and that's part of the temple's destruction in 70 CE, and that's something that's part of it. But it's also really meant to connect you to all the other people who have lost someone over the years, currently, and to each other, because you are all mourning at this time, and to remind yourself that you're connected to everybody who loses. But the thing that I always like to make sure I remind people is that the prayer says in English, may God comfort you, along with all the other mourners. But the Hebrew is a lot more unclear. The Hebrew says Hamakom, which is another name for God, but it means the place. So what I offer you as mourners is, I don't know if God is a place where you find comfort or how you view God, but I think the prayer opens it up to you and says, may a place give you comfort during this time and during all the times that you remember your mother and your grandmother and your aunt and your friend and anybody who else is on, any other family members. May I hope that there is a place for you that gives you comfort during this time, whether it be with your family, whether it be a place that you like to go, whether it's a place inside your body, your heart, that you want to be with. And so may you find comfort in some kind of place after the loss of your beloved Francis. With that, the service concludes, and I will stay with Francis, and you may do whatever you would like.